Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be discussing everything you need to know about white foundation. This video right here is part of my Patreon series where I create one really detailed, long-form version of a tutorial video per month once we reach a certain Patreon goal. This month's goal is 6 new Patreon supporters. If we can reach that, I would love to release a new video all about cut creases. So thank you to everyone for your support thus far. It really does mean a lot to me. It truly does. And without further ado, let's get started. First, I want to discuss something that's very important even before applying white's foundation. And that's preparing your skin for any sort of makeup, especially shironuri makeup. Number 1, you should always apply lots of moisturizer to your entire face, regardless of your actual skin type. As everyone's skin is different, you want to use your own personal routine when doing this. Also, do make sure to moisturize your lips as well, as they can also become very dry during this white foundation process. So whatever lip plumper or even lip gloss or even chapstick that you prefer, go ahead and apply that. What I personally like to use is the Dior Lip Maximizer, which is a lip gloss and lip plumper all mixed into one. Then you want to go in and apply a primer to any problem areas on your face which need a little bit more help, that is. So for me personally, I usually have issues with keeping any sort of makeup on my nose. So I like to apply a nice mattifying, pore filling primer right there. So here I'm smoothing in the primer onto my nose and around the nose area as well. And just really patting and smoothing that in. After that, you are ready for white foundation. So here, I'm going to go over the tools and foundations that I will be demonstrating in this video. First we have right here is a beauty sponge. This beauty sponge is unique in that it contains both a rounded side and a more tapered side for getting to the smaller areas of your face, such as around your eyes and around the creases of your nose. Next we have this buffing brush right here, which is by Real Techniques. As you can see right here, the bristles are very fine and very densely packed. This will allow you to really smooth on the foundation onto your skin in a very smooth, almost airbrushed manner. And we also have another product right here by Real Techniques, and this is their foundation brush. This is more of a flat brush, which will allow you to really smooth on any foundation onto your skin in very thick, broad strokes. So let's move on to the actual white foundations, which I will be showing you in this video. Of course, number 1, I'm going to be showing you this KRYOLAN TV paint stick in 070. Now KRYOLAN actually has 2 white paint sticks in 00 and 070. However, 070 is more of a pure, really bright white. 00 is more of an ivory color. This comes in a stick form, allowing you to smooth on the foundation onto your face straight from the bullet. Here I'm applying this foundation on 2 areas on my hand to show you how exactly it blends with different types of makeup tools. So I'm just really working that into my skin, and you can probably see just from here that swatches very evenly and very softly onto my skin, and it's not too thick. Then I'm going to reach for my cosmetic sponge and just really work that into the foundation to blend it out. Now I'm going to reach for my buffing brush by Real Techniques and just really stamping that into the skin. As you can see right here, this takes a little bit more effort to blend out. However, it still blends out the foundation very evenly. Here I'm going to zoom into my hand, and as you can see, comparing the two swatches, the buffing brush actually blends this out better than the sponge. However, the sponge tends to blend out this foundation much faster. Now we're going to move on to NYE Clown White. Now, Clown White foundations are very common within the special effects industry, and companies such as KRYOLAN, NYE, and Miron make their own version of the Clown White. It always comes in a little tub like this. As you can see, for me swirling my brush into the NYE Clown White, it's very thick and very waxy. Here I'm applying this NYE Clown White to my hand in 2 swatches. Then I'm using my buffing brush by Real Techniques and really working that into the foundation to blend outwards. As you can see right here, I'm having quite a lot of trouble working this out. It does take a lot more effort to really blend this out in a very even motion. Now I'm taking my sponge by PUR Cosmetics and attempting to work that into the foundation. And as you can see, pretty obviously it's dragging against the skin and it's just impossible to work with. I'm really working hard to work this into my skin. Here I'm going to zoom in just to show you how thick this formula is. And comparing the swatches, the buffing brush right here is much more superior at blending out this foundation. Now we have the WOLFE Effects White Face Paint, and this is a water activated face paint, so in order to activate this face paint to apply to your entire face, you need to apply a little bit of water and just simply mix that around to activate this face paint. So here I'm taking the foundation brush by Real Techniques, as this will allow me to apply it in a very thick manner, and this brush is very ideal for these sort of water activated face paints. First I'm applying 2 swatches to my hand. Then taking my sponge and blending this outward. Then taking my brush and buffing this outwards, as usual. And if you can see from this video, the brush actually does a better job at blending out the foundation. It leaves the edges a little bit more smoother than the sponge. So now it's time to demonstrate each white foundation on my face. So first starting with KRYOLAN. First applying this to my cheek and really working that into my skin to really warm this up. Sometimes if you haven't used this product in a while, it can get pretty tough to work with at first, so you do need to warm it up a little bit to make it more malleable. I'm applying this foundation to my entire face, sort of like a face mask. So I'm covering all open areas of my face, but not going over my mobile lid or my lips. This foundation does go on very smoothly. It is pretty greasy, however, and keep in mind that this is a cream formula, so this will crease on you if you do not set it. When you reach your eyebrows, first make sure to swipe this in the opposite direction of your eyebrow hairs, so like this. This will really work it into the eyebrow hairs and the skin underneath it. Now remove any lip product you have on your lips. Now I'm choosing this beauty sponge right here as it blends out the foundation very fast. However, it does make the actual white foundation a little bit more translucent. However, I don't mind this too much. Here, I'm gently bouncing the sponge over the white foundation. I'm also moving this slightly to even out the foundation. When you do this, never use a wiping motion. This will cause streaks in your foundation and make it look very uneven. So always make sure to bounce the sponge over your foundation instead of swiping. Also, when you get to smaller areas on your face, such as the creases around your nose or your eyes, make sure to use the smaller pointed end to really reach into those areas. Now here I'm zooming in even closer. If you look very closely, you can see that the actual foundation is not actually very smooth. In fact, it's a little bit patchy. So to even this out, I'm taking the sponge by using a much lighter hand. Then I'm just using very slight motions to smooth this out. This will really make sure that the foundation is very smooth, with no uneven patches. Now it's time to set your white foundation. First, I'm going to use this matte white shadow, which is from SUGARPILL. First, I'm going to use a blending brush that's very fluffy, as this will cause no harsh edges when I apply this eyeshadow to my nose and to any areas I want to highlight. So I'm taking this shadow and patting this over any areas I want to look the brightest or bring forward. So any areas where you would usually conceal with a lighter colored concealer, here you want to apply that. Just very softly going over each area to ensure it's very bright. Also, when applying this or any setting powder, make sure to smooth out any creasing that may have occurred underneath your eyes or around your nose. Then apply that powder over top. Now, as you can see right here, it makes a huge difference in how white your foundation looks. Now for white setting powder. To really make your face super white, you do want to invest in a white setting powder and not a translucent setting powder. Here I'm going to be using the NYE Super White Setting Powder. This comes in a variety of sizes, including 1.5 ounces and 3 ounces. So here, I'm applying the powder to the rest of my face that was not set before, so mostly around the perimeter of my face. Now you may have noticed that I'm using a powder puff right here. This is actually a Velour puff, which is from makeupmania.com, but you can buy any of these puffs at any drugstore, at Walmart, or even online, at any beauty supply online store, that is. And the reason why I'm using this is because powder puffs really pack in the powder into your skin, really setting this in place. First, I'm using a stamping motion, applying a liberal amount of the powder right onto my skin, then stamping around this to redistribute the powder. When applying this, you should never swipe or try to smooth it on using swiping motions, as this will disturb the face paint underneath. So always make sure to pat and never swipe. Now once all the face powder is applied to your entire face, allow that to sit on your face for at least 10 minutes. This will allow the powder to bake into your skin. Then take a big powder brush or any fan brush and gently pat the bristles against your skin. This will loosen up any loose particles, any loose powder that is. Now we're going to move on to the NYE Clown White. As you saw earlier, the Clown White was very difficult to work with, but here's one easy way to make it work for you. So all you need to do is take a little bit on your hand, on the back of your hand, and just really warm that up. Then take your buffing brush and apply this to your face. This really does need a lot of warmth to make it more malleable, so do make sure to increase the skin contact it has to really warm it up. Otherwise, I'm using the same method as before to apply this white face paint. First, applying this like a face mask. Then really working that into the eyebrow hairs. Then, once again, I'm taking this white eyeshadow from SUGARPILL and applying that to the highlights of my face. So on my nose, on my chin, and right below each eye. For the rest of my face, I'm using that same NYE Super White Setting Powder. Using a powder puff to really set that into my skin. After setting all of your makeup and waiting at least 10 minutes, make sure to pat off the excess. So now for the WOLFE Effects White Face Paint. As I showed you earlier, this face paint is activated by water, so you do need to add a little bit of water to make it more creamy. However, I do not like this whatsoever as a all-over face paint on my face. And the big reason why, as you'll see pretty soon, is that it's very hard to really even this out. In addition to this, it also dries down very, very fast, so if you don't work fast enough, it'll dry down before you can blend it out. And, you know, for me, that's a really big issue because I take quite a long time to really even out my foundation. Also, when you apply more layers, it does get very cakey and can sometimes peel off your skin, which is another disadvantage to this. So on your face, this looks pretty bad, and I wouldn't recommend it whatsoever. So why am I showing you this? Well, although it's not good as a all-over paint for your face, it is good for covering any other areas of your body, such as your neck or your hands. As you can see right here, I'm applying this over my neck and chest using that foundation brush. Although this still looks a little bit patchy, it isn't very noticeable. And it does make your entire body very white pretty fast compared to the cream face paints. In addition, you can also apply a face powder over top to really amplify the opaqueness of this. So this completes my ultimate guide to white foundation. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more videos like this, then do make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that bell icon, and share this video on Reddit or Twitter. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters, which made this video possible. Without further ado, I will see you all later. Bye.